Okay, well, how about we get this show on the road here? Um, I'm Stephanie Torres. Welcome, everyone. I'm the Community Program Manager with the Drupal Association, and thank you so much for joining us for this event with Trellon, Fundraising, Events, and Advocacy with AbleOrganizer, which is a Drupal distribution. Um, before I turn it over to Mike, I just want to do a little housekeeping so that you know how it will go today. So the first thing is if you're listening from your computer, please select the mic and speaker audio option and please wear a headset. It can be a lot of feedback if folks aren't wearing headsets. Please remain muted during the call. And if you have a question, we have that handy dandy little Q&A window. So feel free to drop a question in there. What we'll probably do is hold questions until the end. But if you ask something that's pertinent to what Michael is speaking about, I'll interrupt him and ask the question. So feel free to use that. And we also encourage you and would love it if you could complete a post-webinar survey that you'll be receiving after this. Really helps us formulate what's next for webinars. So thanks so much for that. A little bit about the Drupal Association. We help with Drupal.org improvements. We actually have a whole tech team that is being created now to help improve your user experience on Drupal.org. We also manage the Drupal.org hosting, make sure those servers are running. And many of you, I'm sure, have attended our Drupal cons. We have one coming up in Austin in June and another in Amsterdam in end of September. Community grants is another program we offer, and if you have a really great project and you need some funds to help kick it off, we encourage you to apply for a community grant with us. And then we also offer global training days. We coordinate this worldwide effort. Our next one is coming up on February 28th. And we have trainers all over the world that offer Drupal, a beginning intro to Drupal training on the same day. So it's a really great way to introduce folks to this fabulous community. Coming up, we have DrupalCon Austin, as I mentioned, and that is June 2nd through the 6th in Austin, Texas. Global Training Days I mentioned, and our next webinar is going to be how to grow community and your training business with our Global Training Day program. So we encourage you to join us for that if you are interested in becoming one of the trainers for this program. And Trellon is a supporting partner with us, and if you have interest, our supporting partners get a lot of benefits and are really showing their commitment to the Drupal community. And if you're interested in knowing more, please let us know. We would be happy to talk with you about that. And thank you, Trellon, for your support. All right, without further ado, today's speaker, Michael Haggerty. Michael is the CEO and Chief Internet Strategist for Trellon, and he's the AbleOrganizer Lead Architect. So, Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you.
That sounds nice, and thank you for the introduction, Stephanie.
You bet.
Here today, we're going to talk a little bit about AbleOrganizer. AbleOrganizer is an open source community engagement platform, which Trellon has released. It's free, to download. It's an install profile that you can set up on your local computer. But what I really hope to accomplish today as we talk through some of this is, first off, I do want to show off this neat new distribution, okay? Talk through some of the features and look at how the system works and why it might be valuable to your organization. Secondly, I do want to make an attempt to persuade everyone here that there's still a few new ways to think about Drupal and what you can do with it. We all have this kind of notion about what Drupal is. everybody comes at the question from sort of different angles. What really I'm hoping to do is to maybe push that dial over a degree or two, and just sort of bring people's awareness up around what some of the tools are that are out there, and what some of the things are that that you can accomplish. Can we move to the next slide? So, to start off with, I get a lot of questions about where AbleOrganizer came from, why it was built. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to start with background. Okay. The very first thing to understand is that one of the essential components of AbleOrganizer is a tool called CRM Core. It's a set of modules Trellon started work on back in 2011. What we were looking to do is have a really robust yet lightweight set of modules for capturing contact information within Drupal. What we did was we built a set of tools that really just captures contacts, activities, and relationships, and does absolutely nothing else. Okay, it's meant to be bloat-free and just sort of a framework that you can build other tools around. Next slide, please. Part of the reason also that we did this is really just that we were all bought into the idea, at least here at Trellon, of Drupal 7 as something that could be used as more than a content management system. With entities, the entity API, all of these other tools that were new and emerging, what we really wanted to do is kind of evaluate the system, explore some areas for trying to use it in new and unique and interesting ways. Can we go to the next slide? To give you a sense, after 3 years of investment and coding and pilot projects and very late nights supporting random people on the internet, we've finally gotten to the point where we have this stable and kind of mature platform for contact management. Growth, I would not say has been fast. Okay, as of the other day, or I guess Monday, we had 487 installs of CRM Core going on. Trellon maybe could claim credit for 50 or 60 of those ourselves. Okay, so that this is being used by other organizations. That figure of 487, I think, is actually kind of interesting, because when you think about what a CRM system is, the role that it plays in the life of an organization, I think that 487 figure is actually kind of big, considering Drupal is usually used as a contact management system, or sorry, a content management system, not for managing contacts, and CRM can be kind of vital to the life and health of an organization. That's actually kind of an impressive figure, at least in terms of getting people to think about technology differently and use it in some new ways. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, really the big idea with CRM Core was not just to have a set of modules that can manage contacts and activities and relationships. Really what the idea is that it can act as a platform. Okay, what we wanted to accomplish is to have this nice set of tools for managing contacts and relationships and activities, but we also wanted to make sure that you could build small and useful applications on top of it that extend what you're able to do with the platform in just kind of new and interesting ways. What we also wanted to do is make sure that the way that you built these tools was portable. That anything that's being built to extend CRM Core really could be shared with the community. People could constantly contribute to it, could innovate on top of it. The real goal for us was to kind of get there. So how about we go to the next slide? Okay. Some of the problems that CRM Core specifically can solve, and by kind of thinking of it as a platform, some of the problems we look to impact are laid out here on this slide. From I'd say probably the most important one is costs. There's a lot of organizations who could really benefit from having some data around who is getting in touch with them, how often they are servicing people, what kind of communications are going in and out. At the same time, the tools that are available that could really kind of deliver some of this practical intelligence are just out of reach of some of the organizations who would really benefit. I'm especially thinking about like small nonprofits, maybe with an operating budget between 3 and 5 million. I'm thinking about NGOs where maybe you're a division within a larger organization. Um, Data-driven practices could be key to really keeping your grants going and other things. So part of why we built CRM Core, part of what we're trying to hit with CRM Core is just to have a solution that could, it's simple to install, flexible, easy to use, and really can be, delivered at a low price point. The second thing is ease of use. One of the major challenges that organizations run into when they've integrated with a third-party CRM system is the fact that pages for accepting donations or registering for events might be hosted on a third-party website. Okay, the forms that they're using to ask for information are static. You can't really change them. Another issue we hear a lot about is the inability to access metrics around performance. Your actual reports are kind of only given to a small number of users with privileges in your organization. The people who actually run campaigns might not have access to that data. In essence, when you're running campaigns, you don't want to be running blind. You want to understand who's coming to your site, who's actually engaging with your brand. If you can't do that, there's a problem, and that's something CRM Core could be pretty useful in correcting. Finally, data silos. This, I think, is the item that concerns me most. I spend a lot of time looking at commercial content management systems. Crown Peak, Site Life are just a couple that come to mind. And one of the things that they really feature is integrated metrics around contacts and content. You can figure out who is reading what articles based on where they came from. You can also publish personalized content for those users based on their activity. Okay. Part of the reason that it's hard to do that in Drupal is that there's not really a consolidated way to store intelligence about contacts who are in your site, and so CRM Core is really meant as a way to deal with that as well. Next slide. Okay, so enter AbleOrganizer. Okay, when Trellon built CRM Core, one of the things we also realized is just the fact that this is new, and this is an idea that not a lot of people are going to be bought into or kind of familiar with. When we originally started working on AbleOrganizer, what we wanted to do was to, by and large, showcase the technology and features that are there, and kind of have this vision for technology that people could easily understand. Secondly, what we really wanted to do, with this distro is have that tool that can solve some of those goals, okay, that are listed above. Next slide. The way that we did this really was by organizing all the functionality around 4 key features. I've been running Trellon for about 10 years. I've probably received, I don't know, 6,000 to 7,000 RFPs in that time. I actually track the features that folks are looking for, and so out of that sample of about 7,000 items, the ones that popped up the most frequently are, strong, robust donation functionality, events, event registration, the ability to sell tickets for events, all sorts of permutations of registration. Petitions, okay, the ability to conduct outreach, the ability to, maybe contact a legislator or run a letter to the editor campaign. And then also volunteers, the ability to get people to sign up for something that doesn't necessarily involve a financial commitment, but definitely involves a time commitment, where maybe there's a limited number of slots and some other items. So what we did within AbleOrganizer is we built out all of these features in kind of a thoughtful and meaningful way that it could be used to serve a lot of the needs that have been expressed to us in RFPs through organizations we've talked to. Next slide. what else does it do, though? Okay, it's nice that we have all of these features, okay, but features alone don't, make a website. What really matters is what happens with the data when it gets in there. And what also really matters is how flexible it is, what you can do with this system outside of just the items that have already been defined for you. So CRM Core is part of AbleOrganizer. It allows you to configure new contact, activity, and relationship types. Let's say you're looking to track membership in your site. It's pretty easy to create an activity just for membership, create some rules around it to control, when membership expires, create some reports on membership. I'm going to show you the tools that we use in AbleOrganizer here in a few minutes, and I think for people with a little bit of experience with the Drupal platform, it's going to be pretty easy to visualize how you use it in that role. The second thing that AbleOrganizer does is generates reports and allows you to visualize data. We have a lot of widgets, like somewhere around 140 widgets that have been built out that exist in AbleOrganizer and just allow you to look at information in different ways. We're using panels and views in order to give us some additional leverage there. Not only can we look at data, but we can construct any of those panels in new and interesting combinations. Okay, and then also the widgets themselves have some, I would say some pretty good standards for how they've been built that we're going to take a look at, in terms of settings and the ability to customize them. So organizations can get really the data that they need, and they have ways to expand the system to get new forms of information when they need. Another thing that's kind of key to AbleOrganizer is the dynamic form builder. Anytime we're looking to collect information about contacts, maybe where we have to create an activity after it's been submitted, we have this dynamic form builder. It's drag and drop, and it can be automatically associated with content, and you can swap forms in and out. Really what this means is that, let's say you had 4 donation pages in your site. You could have 4 different forms to ask for information from people. Really this means you have the ability to tailor your asks to appeal to the audiences that you're seeking to reach. This is true for all of the features that are part of the system. We also have these configurable contact matching rules. They're called matching engines. What a matching engine is really there to do is allow you to find duplicate contacts within your database and also within external databases, typically via web services. But a matching engine will allow you to modify a contact record when somebody's coming in. Let's say there's a contact record for Mike Haggerty, and AbleOrganizer has been able to identify that that's a match to a form that's being submitted. I could also use that to reach out to the Yellow Pages and pull information off there, or look at my Facebook account, and grab the latest few tweets and automatically inject those into that contact record. So matching engines are kind of a powerful tool and something I'm going to spend a minute or two on as we go through here. And then finally, just integration with Solar, Commerce, rules, views, panels, token, and other popular modules. We really sweated the details when it comes to integrating with Drupal. What we wanted to do is make sure that there was a really clear way to use the system. You don't need to know anything besides Drupal in order to develop an AbleOrganizer. If you want to build a feature, you can use the features module, and just export a lot of things. It's pretty easy to see how this works with the rest of Drupal. Next slide, please. Okay. So what we're going to do is take a look under the hood. Stephanie, if you could transfer control over to me, I'd appreciate it.
It's all yours, Michael.
Okay, that looks good. And by the way, this is a play in 3 acts. I'm going to stop a couple of times if you want to ask questions about some of the things that you're seeing. Please feel free. So what you see on my screen is a default installation of AbleOrganizer. this is what you get if you run the installation profile. I'll go over here to this other tab just to show you what like a donation page would look like. Okay. One of the things the donation module, the donation feature allows you to do is create as many donation pages as you might want. So I can fill out a form. We'll say Michael Haggerty, put in some of my info. What you see down here is Drupal Commerce default payment processor. It's operating in test mode. Normally, like in a live site, this would be replaced with credit card processing form. So I'll hit submit. I'm taken to a nice thank you page. Okay. If I go to the dashboard for AbleOrganizer, I'll see that my activity feed is updated. There's
Hey,
a
Mike.
record of the.
Mike, just to interrupt for 1 second, the screen isn't moving. It's just kind of staying on your on the home page. Ah, there it just went
Is
to
that?
donate. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it just went to donate. Thank you. Okay, cool.
I get on a roll and then I just completely ignore the people around me. I'm so embarrassed.
No. Just wanted to. It sounded like you were walking through something, but the screen wasn't moving. So just wanted to make sure everybody was with you. Thanks.
I appreciate the heads up. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Let's try that again. Okay. So what you see on my screen is a default installation of AbleOrganizer. Okay. It comes with a lot of sample content, which includes things like the online donation page that you see. Okay. I filled out this form while you weren't looking. Okay. With some of my information, so that I could demonstrate how contact information is captured and where it goes. When I hit submit on this form, okay, what's happening is the donation is being processed. Okay, where it says payment form down at the bottom, that's Drupal Commerce. Okay, we're using the default Commerce example payment processor there. Normally, the fields where under payment form would be replaced with a credit card processing form. When I go to my dashboard in AbleOrganizer, what I'm going to see is, in this activity feed, information about the donation that I've just made. If I was to go to my contact screen and look at the record from Michael Haggerty, what I would see also is that that activity is reflected there as well. I know we're covering a lot of ground really quickly, so let me take a couple steps back and let's just focus on the front end for a moment. Donation pages are content type. Okay, you can create those from within the system. You can have as many donation pages as you want. We've integrated with the media module as part of the AbleOrganizer distribution, so it's really easy to integrate images and video and other items here. We have a couple of tools for mobile development that are integrated into the distribution as well. It's pretty easy to deploy like adaptive images, adaptive videos, and other items that will resize to the dimensions of the device that are being used to view it. When I hit edit, okay, we're really talking about standard Drupal content types with the exception of a couple of things. The first is this CRM core menu. Okay, this is built specifically for CRM coordination. Each time we receive a donation, we're going to generate an email message that will go out to users. That email message is defined in a rule. It's being sent via mail handler. So we can send rich HTML texts to people. It supports tokens in the body of the email messages. This allows you to send highly personalized responder emails, okay, every time a donation is received. The select box that you see here, I only have one thank you message configured for donations. I can configure more. On a per page basis, we can select the responder that's going to be used to send messages out. We also have recommended donation amounts. One of the things I'm going to show off here in a minute is just how carts work. If we have a shopping cart that's set up for AbleOrganizer, let's say we wanted to allow someone to pick from, one of 5 recommended donation levels. We can set those donation amounts here. Okay. When I go into the donation form itself, okay, we're seeing a little display that allows us to choose what form we're actually going to associate with this page. I could have 4 or 5 different donation forms in my site. The form is not the same as the page, meaning that I can create my form someplace else, and we'll take a look at the form builder in a minute. But I can ask for different information in each situation and ask for the information that's appropriate for what I need. One of the things that savvy digital campaign managers know is that it's always a bad idea to ask for more information than what you need, because that will drive a certain percentage of your audience away. At the same time, you always want to capture certain minimum amounts of information. It's never a good situation to have less than what you need. And so really, this is a tool that makes it very easy for people to ask for the right information when they need it and to tailor those asks. If you find your donation forms are underperforming, perhaps the issue is with the fields that are there, you can change that in like 2 minutes with AbleOrganizer. We have this box for displaying the form in line with other content. All of the examples in AbleOrganizer do not do this. But if we wanted to, we could attach the forms themselves with content that's there. And then finally, we can control the label that appears. I'll just go back to the page, and this is the label that I'm talking about. If we want to really tailor those asks, okay, and give people actions that we're telling them to do, within a page, we can do that here pretty easily. So, that is the basics of content management with AbleOrganizer. We're adding forms to content in the right places. Each one of our features comes with its own content type. There's an event content type, a petition content type, etc. You can add whatever fields you want onto them. You can integrate with the media module in order to inject nice things like online video and images and other stuff. And more importantly, you can really tailor the kind of information you ask for from people in order to ask for the right information at the right time. Whenever we collect data about people, it's stored in CRM Core, okay? And on the tab I just switched to, what you're looking at is what the backend looks like around CRM Core. One thing that is really important to kind of be aware of when you're looking at something like this is this is not the back end of your website. Okay, in Drupal, usually you have a front end and you have a back end, like the administration section. With CRM Core, one of the things we're really conscious about is the fact that CRM is kind of like a DMZ between admin and the front end. It has its own UI challenges. We built a unique theme just for handling the CRM section. You're going to need to be able to place tools, blocks, and other information in places that don't belong on the front and they don't belong in the administrative section. So we've got the UI support to allow people to really customize the interface for managing contacts. This is the dashboard. Okay, by default, this is what you'd get when you're working with AbleOrganizer. To the left, you'll see a nice long activity feed with all the actions that have been going on in the site. This lists 50 items at a time. We've turned on infinite scroll with this in the past. It's not in the distro, but it's perfectly fine if you want to have the ability to scroll back, until the end of time for your site, until the beginning of time for your site. Over on the right, we have a set of quick links to allow us to create content, to manage profiles, to record new activities and other information. And we also have some basic summary info about the features that are configured for your site. For This website, we've had a total of 47 donations. We've received $5,350, and the average amount of a donation is $113. Um, it's good. Most nonprofits would be happy with the average donation amounts. I think many of them would like to up the donations. But really the point is you can get to that information very quickly using the dashboard. The dashboard is also a panel. Like I said, AbleOrganizer ships with about 130 different widgets that can be displayed within panels. And I'll just poke real quick. I'm proud of the fact we built so many of these things. Each of the items that you see is also used in reports, which we're going to get into in a minute. If we found that information about petitions was the top line item for this site, that's why it's being built. We could take widgets out of reports and put them into the dashboard in order to make it really easy to get at that information and draw people into just the correct stuff that's there. So as we go through CRM Core event and donations, you'll see that there's a bunch of others there. We'll talk a little bit more about our widgets here in just a minute. So the dashboard is kind of a hub, okay, when you get into the CRM section for AbleOrganizer. We also have our contacts page. This gives us a rundown of the contacts that are in the site. One of the things I guess I just wanted to emphasize here is this is a view. We have views bulk operations associated with our contact lookup screens. We can delete contacts. We can join them into households. We can merge them. We can do mass edits. If I wanted to change everybody's last name to Haggerty, so they're cool like me, that's not really tough. We can also send email messages. We have the ability to send emails through Constant Contact, MailChimp. We can use Mandrill for SMTP support. There's also the SMTP module if we just want to push messages through another server. So it's pretty easy to communicate with your contacts just using this screen. Since this screen is a view, we're able to clone it. We can create multiple views of contacts. If we wanted a way to just look at individuals and then a way to just look at organizations, it's pretty easy to do that as well. Let's also talk about reports real quick, and just in terms of an overview. All of the reports that ship with the system are set up to be templates. Okay, they give a lot of useful information, but at the same time, you're able to clone them. You're able to customize them. There's a lot of different widgets that specifically can be customized. It's about 30 reports actually that ship with it. I know these lists look a little small. Reports are organized by the kind of subject matter. So donation reports are up here. Donor reports are right here. They both come out of the donation module, but we have a small API around how reports are defined, and different features can define different types of reports where they need. So just to give you a sense of what some of our reports look like, we've got some decent visualization options. You're going to see a lot of pie charts, you're going to see a lot of line graphs, and you're going to see a lot of bar charts. Each one is a widget, like I said. You can configure what data is going to appear as you go through it. Let me just jump back here. One of the things that people actually always get excited about when I do a demo of AbleOrganizer is when I just move around pie charts and line charts. I've been sitting on calls where people are just like, oh, wow, that's amazing. It demonstrates a design principle that has gone into the system. Really, we think that the strongest organizations that we've ever worked with, here at Trellon, are ones that are data informed. They don't like canned reports. They like metrics that are streamlined to the kind of organization they run, where people can interact with them and customize them in the manner they choose, and where the metrics themselves sort of reflect their brand. Some of the organizations that do the best, okay, where we've achieved the best outcomes with them as partners, have been the ones that have really been able to get strong, actionable intelligence and share it in real time with their groups. And our reports have been built to reflect that. Okay.
Hey,
When I hit
Mike.
edit now, yeah,
We had a question. Is there a default way to segment contacts based on specific criteria and store them as groups?
great question. Um, in order to segment contacts, you want to configure the system a little bit. We didn't put a default in place. The reason is that we didn't want to force people to do things one way or another. CRM Core integrates with organic groups for people who are looking to do that. We could certainly store contacts that way and associate them. What I'm really fond of is the idea of tagging contacts, creating a simple taxonomy where people can organically build up their own groups of contacts and do it collectively. So really the segmentation options that are supported are those that are there for content, within Drupal. We don't really draw a line, nor do we try to impose a single way of organizing those on people using the system. Any other questions, or I guess I just wanted to make my
Yeah.
oh
So let's see. I think this. I don't know that. Let me just see here. AbleOrganizer looks very promising to some groups I work with. However, these groups have annual memberships that need to be managed with a yearly calendar. Does
sure
AbleOrganizer have a default membership type of setup, i.e., active member versus lapsed or potential?
sure. Um, we have not built a membership feature for AbleOrganizer. There's a reason for that. Number one, lots of different groups have lots of different membership requirements, and we haven't tried to tackle that. By the time we finished building it, there's some segment that is not going to want to work with it, period, just because it doesn't match their exact membership workflow. And membership is essential to the lifeblood of associations and membership organizations. But number two, there is support for membership. When we go into the administrative section of CRM Core, we can build an activity type for membership where we capture the appropriate information, tie it to an activity record that gets associated with context. We can use CRM Core Profile to build the forms that allow people, to actually register, and we can use our reporting tools to allow us to generate really strong reports around it. We can also use rules in order to handle the details around like grace periods and sign-up periods and end of membership periods to make sure you're communicating with members and building the kind of community that you want. So the answer is it's there, but it's not there. Okay. After Trellon has a new website coming out, and once our new website is launched, I'm actually writing a series of blog posts about this. Really just focused on how you configure membership within AbleOrganizer. Just because it's not a feature doesn't mean you can't build it yourself. And you can build it yourself probably in an afternoon, if you follow what I lay out. I don't know if that answers the question, but hopefully it does.
Great, Mike. That's great. Another question. What would be involved in changing the term donations to payments within the system?
That's not too hard. What you'd want to do is go under, your CRM core menu, go into activity types, okay, where it says donation. What did we want to change it to?
Payments.
Yeah. So we would change it to payments here. Okay. Anytime someone is creating a donation record that's now renamed payments, now that would be captured that way. When we look at our actual reports, all of our reports are really built around views. And we have these panels. We could change payments for each one of these widgets as well. It's the sort of thing that might take about an hour, but you can replace everything manually that way. We haven't attempted to localize specific strings. I imagine that you could also use the localize module, or the locale module, sorry, in order to accomplish the same thing. I just worry about whether or not it would really work in all cases.
Okay, great. And then one other question. Are contacts nodes?
Contacts are not nodes. Contacts are their own entity defined in CRM Core. What you're going to find is that a lot of the hooks that exist around nodes would just be inappropriate in managing contacts. There's a whole other event model that's there. If you go to Drupal.org and go to the CRM Core project, you're going to find there's extensive documentation around the data model, what entities are there, what modules are there, and I wrote most of it. I'm kind of loquacious, so I think you'll find that there's good documentation, and you can certainly reach out to me later if you want to talk about that in detail.
Great, great. That is all we have for questions. Mike, are you complete with your demo? Should we?
Why don't you give me 2 or 3 minutes to
You
wrap
got
up
it.
here,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
then we'll dive in. Those were great questions, and I appreciate that, and thanks everybody. But really, I was kind of getting to the meat of this, and I apologize if I was a little focused on some of the nuances about our reports and our charts and everything, but I did want to just deal with the subject of data for a minute. Like I said, data-driven organizations are one thing, but data-informed organizations are another. When you work for a group that makes decisions based around analytics, you can either listen to the analytics and just kind of slavishly do what they say, or you can kind of permit people in your group some creativity and freedom of expression, and use metrics as a way of just informing ongoing decisions about what you do. And AbleOrganizer is really built to fall into that second camp. I just want to talk a little bit about the kinds of intelligence you can get out of the system just by looking at some of our donation reports for a moment. Every piece of data that we collect in AbleOrganizer is tied to a source. There's sources for all the different features that we've talked about here today. If we were to take a look at the sources that we have configured for this site, we'd see fundraisers are really the most popular source that we have. These are the kinds of appeals you'd really want to focus on with your audience. I'm on a source history page. This shows me, since the beginning of time, what donations we've received for this source. It shows me also that people who make donations through this source really only like to give one time, and that's it. So we don't really need to focus on sending them a lot of emails and stuff. Once they've given once, they're kind of done. We know that people who give to this source like to give between $100 and $250. If I'm sending an email to people, maybe what I want to do is say, look, can you contribute $200 now? Since that's really the most popular kind of donation to receive here. And then finally, I know that people who do give to this source also like to give to walk-ups, annual appeals, and online donation campaigns. So if I wanted to send an email to people, okay, maybe what I want to do, instead of asking them to donate to my fundraiser, is to ask them to get involved in a walk-up or an annual appeal, because that's kind of a popular avenue, for folks who are getting involved. We also have our online donation pages. This is a special kind of source. Donation pages exist in the site. They're not really meant for use as uh, 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 sorry for capturing other activity. Okay, you really just want to use these for interacting with users on your site. If I go down into the list of pages, okay, of donation pages that exist, I see that my fundraiser page is the most popular. And if I was to go into that, whoops, sorry, to the summary report for that, what I would see is that people like to give on Saturdays to this source, and also that the highest dollar totals that we've received is on Mondays. I also see that people like to give at around 5 o'clock in the morning, okay, based on these metrics. It's a good idea to send emails on Sunday night around midnight, so they'll be in people's inbox first thing in the morning, based on these metrics. Um, a data-informed organization sits down, reads through all of that stuff, and is able to get actionable intelligence quickly. The level that these reports are generated at is not really at the level of a chief information officer or a chief financial officer who's looking to maximize yields, although they could be. Okay, these reports are really written for the team that's running a campaign and has found themselves 2 weeks into it, and they've collected 75% of what they're after. You have real quick ways to get actionable intelligence about what you're doing and kind of work with it. There's a lot of other things under the hood. I could go on and on and on, but I did promise Stephanie that I was going to wrap up here soon. So with that, I guess if we could just go back to the slides, I just want to point everybody at where you can go to find out more information.
Just 1 second, and we will get back here. We have a few more questions too for you, Mike.
Sure.
So let's have you finish, and then I'll ask the questions. How about that?
I think it sounds perfect.
Okay.
Let me just tap here. So there's some facts about AbleOrganizer, just interesting things to chew on. This is available now as a distribution from Drupal.org. We released the beta 1 version in November. In early March, we'll be releasing beta 2. Some of the new features that are going into it are listed here. We've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of groups. One of the major things is moving the base theme to Zen so that there'll be better Sass support. You're going to see that the current themes are written in Omega. We'll be switching those over, but continuing to maintain the Omega themes as well. We have a slew of new reports and widgets. You're going to find OpenLayers is involved there. You're going to find there's a number of JavaScript or jQuery libraries that are used for social network analysis that are starting to come in. And there's also some improved mobile support that's going to be part of Beta 2. Next slide. If you'd like to find out more about AbleOrganizer, here's a few useful things. First off, AbleOrganizer.org does exist. That's actually the site that you've just seen. I've had a lot of people signing up in forums and everything, and I'm collecting some interesting intelligence about who's out there. We're converting that over to community site right after Beta 2 launches. So just keep your eye on that space. On Twitter, AbleOrganizer, we do publish frequently there, so you can find out about news and announcements, and also communicate with the maintainers of the system that way. Also, the project on Drupal.org is just called AbleOrganizer. That's where you can go to download it. Next slide. Okay, big red question marks means time for questions. Let's dig in.
All right. So how easy is it to add CRM core to an existing site?
You install it the same way you would any other module. There's nothing really special about it.
Okay, great.
There's also complete installation instructions that exist in the documentation. I encourage folks to read that and feel free to get in touch with us if you're confused.
Okay, great. And are there any simple integration for individuals in the organization to build their own donation pages or drives?
Yeah, so personalized donation pages, I think, is what we're asking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too tough, okay, to give members in your organization the ability to create their own donation pages and edit their own donation pages. You do that just through, um, I'm sorry, you do that just through Drupal's user interface or user permission system. With personal donation campaigns, usually there's two things that are also kind of important. The first is to have some metrics and analytics around what you've collected personally, and then secondly, the ability to have personalized responses, like a really nice thank you page or something else. So I guess my answer there is it's not hard. It's also not trivial. So that's probably worth sharing some knowledge about, through some blog posts. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, at Trellon.com, I'm happy to follow up on that and talk it through with you at least. It's not terribly hard. I'll put it that way.
Okay, great. Um, Out of the box, how does one customize the front page? This attendee found it difficult at first stab.
Oh, got it. So the front page is blocks. You can turn those blocks off anytime you want just by going to like admin structure blocks. That'll allow you to shut off all of the blocks that are there. Okay, the theme that's being used, you're not forced to use that theme. That's our attempt to make it a little prettier than like Garland. You can turn that off as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. And how does AbleOrganizer integrate with MailChimp and Constant Contact? Is it a true integration or an export-import capability?
Really good questions. Those modules I didn't personally work on, so I just don't know the answer. It's something that I think we could dive into at some point. But
Hmm.
reach out to me about it offline if you'd like to chat about it.
Perfect, perfect. And also, for an existing site, can the complete Able Organizer be installed, or does it need to be installed in increments via installing individual modules and painstakingly configuring each one to match the total config for the Able Organizer release?
Mm, okay, I don't like words like painstaking, so I think that's a loaded question. Now, I'm not going to say it's pain-free. However, to install into an existing site, you would need to get your CRM core modules and their dependencies. You'd also need to get CRM core profile. You would also need to get, donation or event or volunteer or petition, and turn those on. In terms of actual configuration, okay, there's really only 5 configuration steps that are needed. You need to set up your matching engines. You need to set up your payment processors if they're not already. And mail system or mail handler would need to get set up. Um, there might be 2 other steps, but that's probably, if you have an elaborate site already, you probably have these things in place as well. So I wouldn't call that painstaking now.
Okay. Great, Mike. Well, that's it for questions.
Sure.
And yeah, is there any final words you'd like to say before we close out?
Yeah, I just thank you to those of you who came to listen. I appreciate your attention. Um, like I said at the start of this, my hope was that I could kind of move the dial in terms of thinking about what Drupal is capable of doing. I don't really think of Drupal as a content management system anymore. I think of it as an anything management system, and this distro is really an attempt to get there. So to kind of my peers in the community, it's take a look and let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you so much. This was really informative, and for everyone on the call, thanks for joining us. And it sounds like Mike is very available if you want to reach out to him and ask more questions, more in-depth questions. Um, Coming up, just to reiterate again, we have DrupalCon Austin, June 2nd through the 6th. We have our global training days, first of the year, February 28th. And our next webinar will be how to grow community and your training business with global training days.